Now, in recent years, there's been a huge increase in the number of children reporting gender dysphoria.
Well, it's estimated that around 48 children a week are now being referred to the Tavistock and Portman Trust, which is the NHS's first transgender clinic specifically for children.
Well, a mother of a 15-year-old girl with autism is now taking legal action against the clinic to try to stop them giving her daughter hormone blockers after claiming the centre misinformed families and rush into treatment without proper assessment.
Well, former Tavistock therapist Sue Evans is now speaking out about this, and she joins us now. And welcome to you. Thank you for being here today. So we should explain, first of all, because the issue appears to be with these hormone blockers for young children. So what are the hormone blockers and what do they do?
So the first thing I should say is I'm not an endocrinology expert, but essentially what they do is the hormone blockers slow down and put on sort of hold the development of the child during adolescence.
Right. OK. And you were, because you were working at the Tavistock, weren't you?
Yes, I worked there for a few years.
And so whilst you were there, what created some concern for you was the amount of time spent with each child and how quickly these blockers were being given.
Yeah, so the first thing I should say is, as you said, it's changed hugely. So when I was there were about 100 children a year referred, whereas now there's about 2,000. So, and there were also some clinicians who were able to work lengthenly, and I was lucky that at that time I wasn't under such pressure with my client lists that I wasn't able to do therapeutic work. But there were certain clinicians who would refer children after maybe 4 or 5 meetings. And I found that to be shocking. I didn't think it was enough to send a child off for hormone treatment at such a young age with so little investigation into really what was going on in their life.
What age are you talking about?
Well, back then, again, it was 16, but unfortunately, in recent years, the research that they're now doing, the age limit has been lowered down, so now I believe there are children as young as 11 or 12 who might be offered these blockers.
Well, the Tavistock's currently the only one available of transgender clinics and private practices to children and young people being threatened with legal action by the mother of a patient aged 15 who has autism over its use of experimental treatments for children as young as 11. And I know that she's remained anonymous, but you're in contact with her. The case argues that hormone-blocking treatments are being unlawfully administered to children who cannot properly consent. Did you see that when you were there?
Well, again, it was different when I was there because I was able to just continue working with most of the children that I saw therapeutically. But what I know from clinicians who've left the service recently that I've been in touch with, and they were the people who blew the whistle anonymously, is that they said that sometimes children were referred to the clinic for hormones. The informed consent is a form that they go through with the children, but the problem is it's an experimental drug. It's used off licence, which means it was licensed for some other condition, precocious puberty, but now they're giving it to children with gender dysphoria. And I don't think, and many parents are really concerned about it because we don't think children of 11 or 12 understand the ramifications of signing up to something so early in their life.
We've interviewed families here, sat on this sofa, and the work that Tavistock has done has transformed their lives, that they say, you know, that it was the only place they could go. But interestingly, the numbers that you quote are going from hundreds up to thousands in a short space of time. Has the staff increased? Is there an ability to see everyone through the process, to go through the psychological checks and then aftercare?
So I think the first thing is I have huge sympathy for the staff working at the clinic because I think they're under enormous pressure. I believe they have caseloads of about 130 children each. So, and also there's a sort of political pressure which is taking children much quicker towards a one solution. And I want to sort of say that I'm not about saying this should never be the treatment for children. I believe there are a small minority of children who ultimately, for them, this is the answer. You know, this is going to help them. But I think children, when they come as adolescents, it's a difficult time. There's massive psychological change going on. And so the clinicians there need time. And I think also the atmosphere, you know, the evidence base for the current treatment just isn't there, and it needs to change.
You said earlier that an 11-year-old may not understand the side effects of going through with this treatment. What are you suggesting those side effects are?
So there are both known and unknown, and again, this is the problem because, of course, it's a young treatment, if you like. Yeah. There aren't a lot of people. I mean, there are a few older transsexuals, but I've spoken with endocrinologists, and they say there's in later life risk of cardiac disease, of stroke. There's certainly, if people have surgery, sexual dysfunction, but that's not really what I'm about. I'm about these young children and their hormone blockers. But there are other things.
Well, you mentioned fertility. You've said about fertility.
Yes. So if children are given blockers in Tanner stage 2, which is early puberty, which could be these children of 11 or 12, and then they progress through to the cross-sex hormones, which at the moment, according to the GIDS service, they are nearly 100% doing so. You are effectively sterilising the child because they won't be able to produce either sperm or eggs. At a later stage, if they have already started menstruating, producing sperm and eggs, then there is some way that they could come back. But again, they'd have to go through quite complex treatments and changes to reverse a cross-sex hormone. I hope I've said that correctly, but the cross-sex hormone, and then for their own hormones to take over so that they might become fertile again.
Why do you think there's been an increase? And it comes after a worrying report recently showing that there are hundreds of young transgender people seeking advice about how to return to their original sex, but as yet there is no confirmed data to reflect this. So,
I mean, this is the other reason, really, now I think someone's got to speak out about this, because I have been in contact with people who are called detransitioners. Sometimes you hear them called regretters. But there are now people who are in their mid-20s, and there's no coincidence about that age either, but in their mid-20s who are looking back and saying, I really regret what I've done. Why didn't therapists stop me? Why was I allowed just to be affirmed and go on treatment so quickly? I wish that someone had taken more time and slowed it all down, because I've made a terrible mistake. And, of course, the effects are terrible for some of them.
There is a problem that you say, that psychologists are in a difficult position as political lobbying has made it very difficult to have a conversation about the issue. You have your concerns about even being here speaking out today, being one of these whistleblowers, because there is a backlash. You will get, after this show, you will receive lots of that.
It's a politically difficult subject, and I think that's one of the pleas that I'm making. I'm not against any treatment for children with gender dysphoria or adults. But what I'm saying is we need to be able to open the discussion up to look at the evidence-based medicine clearly, medically, and I don't think that's being done. I think it's being pressured by the political activism behind a sort of a view that it must be affirmed. This treatment is the only one, you know, better a trans child than a dead child. And I don't think it's right. I think we've got to slow everything down and be able to look very clearly at which treatments suit which children the best.
Well, the Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust said it's not appropriate to comment in detail in advance of any proposed legal proceedings. Our clinical interventions are laid out in a nationally set service specifications. NHS England monitor our service very closely. The service has a high level of reported satisfaction and was rated good by the Care Quality Commission, and the NHS say the priority has been to deliver safe and effective treatment, so the NHS has recently confirmed we will be reviewing all available evidence so as to publish an updated service specification next year.
Thank you.
OK.
Thank you for your time. Stacey says you've got a clue. Until you were going through this yourself, I have a transgender child, and if only you could see their daily struggles, you would do anything you could to help your child. And Brooke says, I can't understand how a child of 15 can make a decision that will affect them for the rest of their lives. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.